Episode, I guess the appropriate title would be 666
Yep.
of the Too Thick Pod. Your home for, on most days, sports, cards, and levity. Today I'm joined by Manny being Manny 1.0.
What's up, Jeremy? As you could tell, Jeremy and I are in a certain mood, right? We want to bring the sports, cards, and levity. But we'll get into that. Let's bring it. Let's talk about what the people are here for. And it's the Too Thick Pod, right? We have Jeremy, we have Meat Sticks, Tummy Sweats. We're brought to you by the fellas out in Portage / Australia, where they have Black Widows roaming their earth. Mr. Tyler and Tommy, TNT Sports Cards.
Yep, Tommy and Tyler, best group subber out there. Make sure you check out the website, tntcards.com, and Facebook, tntcards.mi. Tell them Too Thick sent you, and they will take good care of you.
Mm-hmm.
So as Manny alluded, we just hit record. Last week, some news broke, and it was something that I never, ever expected to see. It's something that, quite frankly, it threw me off. I'm trying not to well up because I've got like just a tremendous mix of emotions. But somebody that we know, somebody that we have had on before, somebody who we've seen at shows, somebody who's been on some of the lives to talk about Shipshawana, the Lansing show, VCon. I want to say it was like late morning, early afternoon on Friday. I was tagged in a live, and the live, I had no idea what it was. I just thought it was something I thought it was just some like goofy stuff. And as I was driving, it became clear to me that this was something bad. And not only was it something bad, the allegations were heinous, and the allegations were of somebody who myself, Courtney, and Manny have all, tried to be there for, tried to be a good friend, acquaintance. And I guess, what that was is allegations that Trees Collectibles had attempted to solicit a minor to engage in, sexual activity or however. I don't know how to word it properly. So it's something for me that hits close to home. And it's somebody who was in my house this past summer as our kids swam together. I went and I read everything. I honestly didn't know how to react. I've never felt so many mixed emotions at one time. And I want to be clear, I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm trying to explain our absence next week and to give people some insight of where myself and Courtney are at and where Manny's at. And then, I'd like to put this behind us and move on. But I've never felt such a mix of emotions. And I always mess with Manny because he's always the one that wants to talk on the phone. I must have tried calling Manny like 2 or 3 times. Like, is this true? What is this? I attempted to reach out to Mark because then I was like, well, how are you a good friend? If you're my friend, I'd like to see the good in you. And if I've never seen anything to suggest otherwise, is the fair thing to do to give you the benefit of the doubt. Obviously, my messages went completely unanswered. All of Tree's socials were completely scrubbed and taken down. And people who are close to him have reached out and have alluded or suggested that what's being alleged is true. There's pictures, there's messages, and it's hard when there's that much evidence pointing to something being one thing for it to be something else.
Yep.
So you want to just chat for a minute and let me collect my thoughts?
Yeah. So as of now, this is kind of for me, no relationship with him ever. It's not a gray area. Me and Jeremy, both, you guys see it, we're both parents of kids. And that's just like that. There's no line to draw. Like, you do that, you're nothing. We're not gonna associate with him. We did get a couple DMs, and it seemed like they were trying to, it seemed like DMs like trying to get us, like, ha, you had him on your show. Well, we don't agree with that as well. 100% do not agree with that. And he's pretty much, we don't know who that is anymore. So I'm drawing the line there. If he would have, I mean, we had no idea. You can never tell. And it kind of hit home, like Jeremy said, because we have kids and we let someone like that be close to us. So it hit home.
Extending beyond cards, one of the reasons Manny and I are friends in the hobby and in real life is our like the way we view the world, our ethics, our moral compass. We both were raised in less than desirable circumstances, and we all have a desire for our kids to have bigger and better, in a place where they are safe. Yep. And they are loved. And part of how we started to become friendly with Mark was he expressed that he had very similar morals. And it hurts that somebody you open your house to, somebody you check in and extend well wishes, somebody that you genuinely care about, not only them, their wife, their child, come to find out that that was all a lie.
Yep.
So on just a personal level, the initial reaction is a little bit of hurt there, a little bit of sadness, not a little bit, a lot of sadness, and also a little bit of like shame and embarrassment, because anytime you see those messages, you don't know if somebody's extending like, hey, are you okay? Or haha, got you, as if this person's actions represent me, my family, Manny, his family. So that hurts.
Yep.
Really just a really quiet, somber weekend. I had to shut it down. I was like, outside of like my wife, I really didn't talk to anybody because I didn't know what to feel. I didn't know how to make sense of how did this happen? It's one of those things like, man, that shit would never happen to me.
Yeah.
Until it happens to you. And slowly the sadness and anger turned to the sadness and turned to anger.
Yep.
Because I started rereading text messages. I started going through Instagram. And I'm like, wow, there's pictures of my kids that this person hearted. Now I'm left to wonder, was that just genuinely like, when I see an awesome picture of Haven, double tap that heart. She's adorable. She's a cutie. That's an awesome, like, I know that moment when you're like at a pumpkin patch or opening a pack of Pokemon cards or whatever the case may be. Now I'm left to wonder if by me trying to share something personal to me, what was the motive for that? So then it turned into anger. And then it turned into a spot that I don't think anybody ever wants to be, where you just see red. Where I know at the end of the day, I'm glad that cooler heads prevailed. I'm glad that people like Manny, despite me being unavailable, checked in on me to make sure I was okay. I couldn't help but think that there's another child in all this, and me taking law into my own hands is probably not the right thing.
No.
So I would just say this: anybody who would harm a child, anybody thinks that's acceptable, anybody that would attempt to justify this kind of behavior, I firmly believe that there's a special place in hell for you, and I want you nowhere near me or my loved ones.
Yep.
We do not condone that. I absolutely hate it. Like, I don't know what else to say. I don't know how else to articulate it other than, thank God somebody caught this before this potential child was abused.
Yep.
Hopefully there weren't any others. And I'm sure anybody in the hobby who's had experiences with this person is feeling the same sort of whatever that feeling is.
Because he had a big following. It wasn't just like he had over 6,000 followers on Instagram. So,
and I mean, like a lot of people knew him. Like we were at VCon, he knew a lot of people. So I'm sure as this news spreads, there's going to be a lot of people saying, "What the hell?" So, our DMs are open if you want to talk about this at all. That's why we weren't around last week. It was just, What do you say to that? Like, I've never experienced that. There's no training. There's like nobody that ever said, "Hey, this is how you behave when something like that pops up." So, I mean, I don't. If I missed anything, please feel free to add.
No, and then to close it, because we'll never bring this up again because he's poof. We'd never met him before. We did. You'll go back through. We did. I'm gonna call it out. I deleted everything because I don't want it on my page, on Jeremy's page, on Too Thick. So there's nothing on our page that's associated with him, and that was because of me, because I don't want to be associated with something like that. So, like I said in the beginning, it's pretty much to close out. I never met him before. He's disappeared. So that's how I feel.
But if you're going through something or you want to chat,
yeah,
our DMs are open. We'll gladly talk through anything. And if you're hurting and like you struggling, like please don't do anything stupid. Like there's people out there we can talk and try to be there for one another.
Yep. Yeah, because I mean another thing, this is like inside the mind of Jeremy and Manny. We were like, should we talk about it? Should we just ignore it? And we thought maybe let's just get it out. And this is our podcast, our platform. Let's just get it out. I don't care what people think about it. It's what we feel, and we have 2 kids, and we're done. That's the line. So you have 5 kids. I have 2 kids. I'm sorry.
So I have 4 kids. Manny has 2. And if we have 2 together, there's new breaking news here on the Too Thick Pod.
Your face. Me and Jeremy have 2 kids.
If you and I have 2 kids, I'm glad I'm meat sticks.
Yeah, exactly. Tummy sweat. So let's change to back to our normal schedule program. I've been to card shows. This is actually different than normal. I've been to the card shows. Jeremy has been skipping out on these card shows. And it's because it is work, so I can't give him too much crap about it. But when people ask, and our friends that know both of us, you best believe I'm saying Jeremy's a slacker. His ass isn't in the cards anymore. He hates it. He hates you. He doesn't want to see you. I told Dennis you said it was a shithole. So no, but everyone was asking for you and Courtney. They do miss you. They're surprised that we haven't been set up in a while, and we lost our spot. So we're back to starting fresh at the Lansing show.
Dude, I never thought there would be a day in hell where I would be jealous, and I'm not a jealous person, so take this with a grain of salt, where I would be envious of Manny's going to card shows and me not, because for a while it was me going to card shows and Manny couldn't join as a result of work or life or family or whatnot. And now in back-to-back weekends, this dude's out hobnobbing at 2 of the bigger shows in all of Michigan, talking a grip of shit. Now, I will tell you, as a friend, that is the appropriate play because I always talk a grip of shit. So that is the correct. So I am proud of you for that. but just know now the game is on.
Oh yeah, the game's it's been on. Like I get shit talked all the time. I'm just trying to man up and do it myself.
So let's go back to the
2 weeks.
Kalamazoo show. Would that be correct?
Yes,
At K-Wing Arena, and it
correct.
was pulled on by Southwest Michigan Collectibles.
Anthony. Yep.
Anthony, good dude, love his kid. He's got some cool, unique stuff. What was that show like?
So they had it in like the foyer of the Wings like practice center, and it was cool because I was thinking about it. They had a hockey tournament that same um kind of like a youth hockey tournament, and it seemed like a lot of people from different areas were there, and they would come over and were looking like they were looking to see what was going on, and they saw cards, and you could see people were like, I want hockey cards, and stuff like that. So the excitement was there. It was packed, and you walk in. Anthony's had it set up where everyone got a raffle ticket, and he was giving away BC's Pizza, which is a pizza place, and it had like a little gift basket. So that was exciting. That's something I haven't seen at card shows. So shout out to Anthony. I know that's probably a lot of work to do.
Yes.
But it was busy and people were buying, is what I was seeing. People were buying, they were selling. It wasn't just you know how some dealers are like, everyone just wants to sell. No, it was back and forth. There were people that were just trying to get rid of some cards here and there. I didn't see a lot of big end cards. I saw a lot of like $100 to like $500 cards that were moving, dealing and moving, 50 to 500, I would say. So the football hype, I was shocked. There were still a lot of people looking for football, which you were 2 weeks ago, you were still in the playoffs, but then it considered that the Lions were still in it. People were still trying to find football cards, which shocked me because me and you were on to baseball, and not a lot of people had baseball that much. So they
It
had a good
is.
turnout.
I would say in general in Michigan, football is king. Regardless of the season, you could set up in baseball season with a baseball showcase and do okay. Outside of baseball season, you're going to struggle.
Yeah.
Soccer, you and me you get your ass kicked in Michigan. It is tough to have a showcase of soccer cards. Football is your safe bet where we live, and we're probably about 90 minutes, 2 hours from each other.
Mm-hmm.
Football is always safe, man. There is always a demand. And I've got more and more friends who I recognize that they're just like, it's football year round. They don't care.
Yeah, they don't care about the hype, the dips, like anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird though. Like I think it's like higher up though, because the Lions were doing good. So everyone was excited. 30 some years, blah, blah, blah. That's all I heard. So you guys suck, you lost. So
I don't know. Like this seemed too. Manny hit me on a Sunday night at like just before midnight, and I'm like, I'm surely he had to have seen he had to have seen this somewhere.
Why I can't do it myself?
Well, it was. I mean, if you did, all the credit in the world to you, my friend. But it was like very rarely am I at a loss for words where I just chuckle. And people like generically in text message use LOL. It's become like this generic. You don't have to respond to anything. It's like non-committal.
That's
it's just
you.
like
That's
yes.
you. I know when you don't read my shit because it's LMAO, and then I test it. I'm like, say something else, and it's this quick LMAO. I'm like, he ain't paying attention to me.
No, I am, my friend. I am. I was cooking for you yesterday because you wanted something and I made your day. But please tell the folks what you said at like midnight. Manny is such a piece of garbage that at like 11 o'clock at night, he's calling me to like express his excitement on how the Lions lost.
I wanted Jeremy to, because his friend does shirts. I wanted him to make me a shirt that said the Lions reported ineligible to the Super Bowl, and so I could wear it at the next card show in front of all the Lions fans.
You're gonna get your ass beat, man. And what makes that much more funny is like Manny was arguing with Lions fans on Twitter about that after that Lions Cowboys game.
Yeah.
To the point where people were blocking him. That was Manny went through that rough couple weeks where he was just fighting with everybody everywhere.
Oh yeah, I think I'm blocked. I'm still blocked by him. I don't understand. He knew he went too far. He even started doing his own personal Lions account because he got a little feisty over no reason. I sent a gif of a smiley, or I sent the gift of, did we just become best friends? And it's like, yup. And he got mad. So
It was, we'll get back to the show in a second. I cannot explain the vibe in Michigan, like for Detroiters and across the state, for what this football team had meant. The vibe, the buzz. It was similar to what 2016 in Chicago was for the Cubs. You have a fan base that's just starved for anything good. And the minute they become remotely good, anybody and everybody who's never even watched football is the biggest Lions fan. And I'm like, man, this is actually pretty awesome. When they're not playing the Bears, I'm going to go ahead and root for the Lions. Until about like week 8 or 9, where if you go back and listen, where there became a select group of Lions fans that became the most insufferable people in the world and spoke as if this was the greatest football team of all time. The Detroit football team is the greatest franchise in NFL history. Dan Campbell would shit all over, any coach of all time. Goff is the greatest quarterback. David Montgomery Gibbs, Amon-Ra is the greatest wide receiver. And they became just like delusional.
Yep.
Absolutely delusional. So then I was conflicted.
You're talking about Kenny, and it's okay. You could call him out. It was Kenny.
No, your beef is with Kenny. So I became conflicted because there's a group of people who are just genuine good diehard fans. And I want the Lions to win for them. But then there's this vocal minority.
No, majority.
Who do not know their place.
Yeah.
Like, I am a Bears fan.
Yeah.
We are not relevant. We are a garbage franchise. If you bring up the 1985 Super Bowl, please piss off. That is almost 40 years ago. That is not relevant. That is not a good franchise.
That's more than the Lions.
And by the way, I hated that we did that episode for like a week. Like that main page of like my Instagram was filled with that, girls with big butts and like how to do magic. I'm so fresh. But so like the most, as they went up 14-0, I messaged a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I'll take the Niners if you want to bet. Like trying to get like some crazy, like, 10-1, something like that. Make, in what my mind I thought would be some easy money. And he's like, he's not from around here. And he's like, man, this is Detroit. They're going to lose this shit. And I was like, okay, it's 24-7 at half. And then like 8 minutes into the third quarter, I'm like, this is the most Detroit thing ever to take a lead like that and lose the way that they did.
Yeah, the best. I mean, we had a specific fan. I won't name names, but he used to be a Cowboys fan. And now he switched over to be a Lions fan, which is crazy to me. And he talks about the Cowboys, but in his basement, he has all Cowboys memorabilia. And he hates the Cowboys. He was saying that the Lions, no one could beat them. They're unstoppable, blah, blah, blah. The guy messed up. That guy messed up because he called me today. And once he called me, he realized, I shouldn't have called you. Because I said, how about the Lions?
Oh, he instantly regretted life decisions?
He did. You heard him. You heard people in the background like, why'd you call Manny out of all the people you could have called? You called Manny. And he's like, oh, shit, I forgot about this.
Yeah, so today was really like my first day on. Yeah. The amount of like, there's clearly some people in the hobby that are holding certain cards.
Yeah, they get mad over
because the amount of hatred, or like by Lamar's failure, somehow other quarterbacks are better, or as a result of this. And it's absolutely fascinating. It is absolutely fascinating. And I kind of want to just throw fuel on the fire and sit back and have a good laugh.
Yeah.
But couple good games yesterday. Shout out to the Lions for an incredible season. The city of Detroit truly deserved it. And unfortunately, the Bears and Packers are going to run that division for the foreseeable future, in my humble opinion.
Yeah. And just remember, Lions fans, you're really good this year. You're really good in 1991, and it took you 30 years to get back. So hopefully you don't have to wait another 30-some years to even have some success. So
wow. All right. So Kalamazoo show is popping. People are buying and selling because Detroiters going to come and. Yeah, did I ever tell you this? So I moved to Detroit without ever visiting.
Yeah, that's your first problem.
Okay, so I had this perception. I knew Detroit from seeing rap concerts,
And I
and I
see.
knew Flint from rap music via the Dayton family.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, because, I was a white kid in the suburbs of Illinois, and I listened to rap music, so I thought I had Michigan all figured out.
Yeah,
It's like the first week where I take this job, and they've got me in what they would call like a luxury apartment.
yeah.
Like meanwhile, Courtney's having Kaya. I'm going back and forth like every week, leaving on Thursday nights, coming back Monday morning. And like maybe my second week, I have this out of town crew who request like the entire crew requests like a week off. And they're requesting like a month in advance. And it was like to go deer hunting.
Oh, yep.
And I was like, okay, this is not a town crew. That's strange.
Yeah.
Well, then like over the next week, because I had about like, I don't know, 150 people that like ultimately ran through me. And everybody was requesting the same period of time off. And so I asked my operations manager, I'm like, what the hell is this? And he was like, hey, hunting is a big deal in Michigan.
Yeah.
I had no idea how hillbilly and country bumpkin a majority of Michigan is. My only experience was Detroit and Flint. I thought Michigan was much more urban than what it was, and it's
No,
actually very rural.
it is. It's just Detroit and Flint pretty much. And then the rest is just woods and trees and
Like,
hillbillies.
like these people want to drink Mountain Dew, chew tobacco, soak themselves in deer piss, and
Yep.
sit up and freeze with the hope that they can shoot an animal.
Isn't that crazy? When my old job, we had to inspect the poles, and that week we couldn't inspect them because there's been incidents where we try to go walk out in the middle of nowhere to find the pole, and you run up and you got a red laser on your head, like get out of my area. So they like warn us, do not inspect poles right now.
I was so like I had this perception of what I thought it was, and I never put much thought into it. So I was just like, "Oh, hunting,
Yeah,
that's weird. Oh, more hunting, that's weird. What the hell? Like, surely not all of these people are hillbillies."
yeah, yeah. It's not. I tell them it's not hunting unless you don't have a gun. Then that's when the real hunt starts.
So I always love when I learned the deer piss thing.
Yeah,
So now I'm just anybody that hunts, I'm like, "Oh yeah, so like you soak yourself in deer piss, right?" And then
yeah,
I'm always like you got to be a badass. You got to like put the knife in your mouth, sneak up
yeah.
behind the deer, fucking have the deer blood like war paint.
Yeah,
Otherwise, you're
like
not doing it right.
Rambo style. That's what I want to see someone do.
There you go. So yeah, that's Michigan. So the hillbillies are sad about the Lions.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, no, yeah. So that card show, it was a lot of people, a lot of foot traffic. I was actually shocked on how much foot traffic. I guess Anthony, you told me this is the most he's had, um, people wise. So that's a good sign for Michigan card shows, right? Because we have one, we have the Lansing show, which we love, always packed. But if we could have another one that's always packed on the West Coast, kind of get them. It just seems like in Michigan, the hobby is just like everyone's excited to buy cards.
I'm telling you, when there was that thing, like, and it still might be there, so please forgive my ignorance, but there was a point in time where it seemed like anything relating to the hobby was popping off in California.
Mm-hmm.
I was always like, man, if some of these people in Michigan just brought cameras with them,
Yep.
you guys like that northern Indiana, you touch into Chicago, into Michigan, northern Ohio, because like they've done shows in like Lima and Toledo that are just absolutely bonkers, where you have people flying in to the Midwest to attend these shows, and they don't get they're not on the scale, and they don't get the publicity that like like a Culture Collision or a
Yep.
Dallas or a Burbank gets.
I mean, Shipshawana and what is it, midnight or mid something bash in Indianapolis? What's that one? We haven't been to it, but we want to. Something monster.
Midwest Monster.
Midwest Monster. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one's a huge one. So Shipshawana, Midwest Monster. I mean, those two are like huge shows.
Yeah, so I'm checking this out, and I think Anthony's going to continue to have great success because he's a hobby guy through and through.
Yep.
Like he
Yep.
collects what he collects. I love that he's got his little guy there, and so anytime it's put on by a hobby person who wants you to have the best experience, wants to
Yeah.
go out of their way to make sure that, like, hey, there's something, if you've got a small bankroll, a big bankroll, just to be there and have a good time. I
Yep.
think these events will continue to have great success. And then obviously anytime that you can bring the kids along and have a good time, that's just
Yeah.
awesome.
Can I say it? It was as cool as the mall shows, because in the mall, us two thicks, we want to eat. You know how there's the food court.
Yeah.
Uh, it's not almost non-existent in the Lansing one, but you got Annie Ann's pretzels that everyone goes to.
Mm-hmm.
The Kalamazoo, because there was a tournament, they had concessions open, so everyone was pumped about that.
Let's go.
Yeah, so good job, Anthony. So last weekend I went to the Lansing show again, and you've been to the Lansing show. Foot traffic was insane. Like,
Yeah.
I couldn't find a parking spot.
This is a show that, like, Dennis can go from like 120 to 170 tables based on what he wants to do.
Yep.
And I'm not sure, like, that would be a good question next time we have him on to ask him, is that I'm sure at a certain point it's like you don't want to go so big because it's just more for you to manage. It makes your life easier to a little bit scale it down, but it's in a mall and it's
Yep.
right in the middle. His card shop is also in the mall, so it's right there. So you have tables everywhere. And I want to say for 7-8 months last year, we were set up. Thank you to Dennis and the Shitbox Show, which people will never let me hear the end of it. Avery's Shoebox Show. There was always an incredible opportunity to buy, sell everything from dollar cards up to 5-figure cards.
Yeah. Our guy Hollister, before I even got there, bought a huge lot that he packed his trunk. And before it's crazy, like the amount of people. Like, I would say the Lansing show, and this is to the people that aren't dealers. The dealers there at the Lansing show are buying, and they want to buy. Jeremy and I, when we were set up, we want to buy. So when we're set up, we're trying to buy. I don't sell, and there's people like that come there. There's the big name people that come and wipe out your table as well. My thing with the Lansing show, you got to know what to bring. Dennis brought it up when he was on our show. You bring lions, you bring tigers, you bring Michigan State or Michigan alum, your table is gonna do really well.
Yeah.
So, the people that don't sell is because they don't know.
Mm-hmm. And I would say all the hip modern stuff that you see on Insta, that stuff moves too, because you do have and I don't even know if they want their names being thrown out there, but like the same people that you would see going to a culture collision are like the same people that are there. They're coming in trying to spend $10,000-$20,000 and load up on as many cards as humanly possible.
You also have people that are Pokemon, bigger name Pokemon collectors in the hobby, or flippers or whatever. They're invested in Pokemon, that they do whatnot shows, and they try to buy out all the Pokemon cards. So you have that as well. And I mean, like, for example, we have Silver that's always like in our DMs. He hates me. He always likes messing with me.
So Silver and 504, I legitimately feel I feel a little bad for, because I genuinely like them dudes. They're awesome people. They're incredibly supportive.
But you don't respond to them.
I am horrible in group messages. Now 504 is wisened up somehow that Louisiana swamp trash man got my cell. And so once in a while when I've like, it's like the girl that you're dating and you're kind of like you're preoccupied or you forget. And so like he hits me on the cell and I'm like, oh, I feel awful. This guy messaged me. I meant to respond.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same with Silver. You do the same with him. He has my number. So I told him he starts sending me Dallas Cowboy memes. I said, delete my number, please.
So you know what happens to me is I get that moment where I get that wave of like, I need to get caught up on messages.
Yeah.
And it's always so much worse than what I thought. Like in my mind, it's only been a couple hours. And I look back and it's like, it's been 3 weeks or some stupid amount of time. What's that?
You better be careful. Silver will meme you.
So, well, shit, I was like, the first 74 memes were me.
I just gave him that idea because he's listening. He's going to be like, you know what? I'm about to meme Jeremy for not responding.
So what I do is I go back and I go like in chronological order. So I start responding to shit.
Yeah.
And it throws them off because I'm hitting an LOL and they're like, my cat just died. Well, I'm not LOLing the cat just dying. I'm like 3 weeks back when you said something that was, let's face it, Silver and Matt, like, kind of funny, but you don't want to hurt their feelings
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Well,
And then it's like Matt's like, oh, I don't have any money. And then you look at his Instagram, he's posting 97 golds, their PSA 10.
yeah, exactly. Of every wrestler, he's like collecting all the wrestlers, and then I will say Jeremy is a boomer when it comes to Instagram. He doesn't know how to hold the button and reply to the certain message, so he will just put LOL, and he's responding to a message you sent 2 weeks ago, and it's just total confusion when you talk to Jeremy on and IG. This is why Courtney handles the reckless cards, and Jeremy will just come in. You know when it's Jeremy because he's trying to start shit with either me or anybody in that chat. So
Yeah, I hooked up. We're gonna record again with Cousins Collectibles. I
yeah,
come in and set it all up, and then I just disappear. Like I
yeah.
don't even know what the response was. All I know is there was like 97 messages, and I'm like, yeah, I'm not reading all that.
That's funny. But yeah, Lansing, Michigan, in conclusion with the shows, everyone seems to be back in the hobby. I will say that in December, like when we were kind of in our like blue, a lot of people were, but it seems like it's ramping back up. There's a lot of people that are probably getting their bonus check tax money and they want to spend it on cards. So um, I'm excited. I'm also excited, Jeremy. I know I'm switching topics, but I want to talk about it before we go. Bowman U is amazing. And I've been buying it just because Michigan State has like 4 players. But I've been PCing Jeremy Fears. I have
Nice.
out of 25. Look at out of 50. And then Booker, Xavier Booker out of 25. I missed out on his out of 10 and out of 5. And I'm so mad. And they're cheap. Out of 10 sold for $30 or 20 bucks, $25. And out of 30 sold for like, or out of 10, 5 sold for like 35. So they're not expensive cards, but they mean something to me. So if you have them, reach out to me if you have a low number.
So did I share the story with TNT and Bowman
Yeah.
U?
Yeah, the what you guys ripped a
Did
box
I,
of?
did I share it on Toothpick though?
I don't think so.
All right, so our friends over at TNT, Tomas and Tyler and Tomas, decided to get us a case of Bowman U to rip on release day or the day after release day. And shout out to Three Kings because they bought it through Three Kings.
Yep.
And so we were sitting there ripping, and there was packs everywhere. It started out with like everybody took a hobby box, and then it just turned out to like Cecily was ripping it open, putting packs everywhere. So everybody was just grabbing packs.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I pulled the Caitlin Clark orange auto out of 25, took a
And
picture of it, posted on Instagram, didn't tag anybody, and then just sat and watched everybody rip it. And everybody's like, man, I want to get a Bronny. I want to get this. Who's this guy? Who's this guy? Kenny doesn't know his head from a hole in the ground. Is he good? So I was just like, he's a freshman that plays in Kentucky. He's probably pretty good.
yeah.
So we got to the end, and I'm like, so how you feeling, Tyler? And you could just tell he was like, oh, it was fun. It was like Eeyore. It was
Yeah. It
fun.
was fun.
I'm like, man, you did good. He's like, we burned $1,000 or whatever the hell he said. I'm like, no, bro, you did good. He's like, so I was like, how about you? And everybody else is like, I don't know. Maybe not. Probably. We didn't hit anything big. I'm like, oh no, you all did good.
Yeah.
So I just let it marinate for a couple minutes. And so then I hit him with the I'm pretty sure you did good. And I put it in his hand, and everyone's like, what the holy shit?
Yeah.
He's like, when did that happen? I'm like, 20 minutes ago. And like, you didn't say anything? I'm like, I was too busy posting on social.
Dude, that's a big card. The women's in the women players that are in that set are all like studs.
Gangsters.
Yes.
Gangsters.
Paige. You got Paige, you got Caitlin, you got Brinks in Stanford, which I think is the best player. You got the 2 girls from LSU that are in that set. So I think it's a sweet set to have. I think prospecting, I've said it before, I think prospecting for basketball and football is going to get bigger and bigger with NIL deals. So I'm excited.
Manny said it. Some people are thinking it. Manny said it. He thinks that for football and basketball, Bowman first could potentially be like Bowman baseball first.
Yeah.
And you
It
can
won't
get in.
be as big, but I could see margins. There's going to be margins.
Yeah, because you can get, and you know, if you PC these players, they're like they're badass. Some of the cards are so dope.
Yeah.
They are so dope. So it's awesome to hear that the shows are alive. The buzz is, um, it's crazy, man. It is absolutely crazy. I think realistically, we're not going to set up until March in Shipshawana. As much as I'd love to be at every show, there's just not enough hours in the day.
Are you going to next month the Lansing one? The
I can't commit to anything. Like I haven't had a day off in like 10 days.
Yeah, no,
And
I know.
it's 9 o'clock now, and I'll be leaving in about 6 hours to head out.
Yeah.
So I would love to, like, I truly want to, but Courtney and I are like killing ourselves building something special over here.
Mm-hmm.
And
Kid 5, everyone.
if we build that properly, we're gonna have all the time and the money in the world just to play with cards.
They're gonna adopt a professional athlete. That's
And if you know, Courtney and I are cooking on something that would be super big, super hobby related, and would be like the fulfillment of a childhood dream.
There you go.
How's that for a tease?
Oh yeah.
So, man, that's all I have. I know we started a little bit of a rough patch, shit news, but we wanted to be upfront. We wanted to talk about it. We wanted to share what we were thinking. Manny's out just gallivanting at shows. Now, I will say, Manny, my guy, when you go to these shows, do some content. He's like, I got you, fam. And then he like posts one thing.
No, okay. I
just want to point out this is who Manny is. I blame. No. It's never pointing the fingers at the guy in the mirror. It's never the thumbs up pointing this guy. He's always got an excuse.
Me and Jeremy are both the type that we're not the type that are going to have like a camera walking around with us. We're too embarrassed. We get in our own heads. When Jeremy and I try to hang out and we don't want to ask the other person because we don't want to offend them. And you want us to do content at shows where we're walking around with cameras and we're basically like, oh, are people judging us? Are we getting judged because we have a camera? PSA Poppy went to the show in Kalamazoo. The dude brought a tripod and everything to do TikToks. And I'm like, how is this possible? He asked me to do a TikTok with him. And all I had to do was walk and steer right. I was sweating because I was like, there's too many people looking at me. I'm the center of attention. I don't like it. So we are normal people. We do not we get in our own heads. But I literally went to the Kalamazoo to drop off submissions. I went to the Lansing to drop off submissions. I wasn't like really trying to buy. I was trying to drop them off and leave. But then I get talking into my hobby friends. And then time runs all out and then the show ends. And I'm like, well, guess I'm nothing.
So like, like when it came to responding to messages and like all that stuff, one thing I've always done when I worked for a company and I had the ability to do so, I would always take like an APM or I'd get an assistant.
Yeah.
And I would be like, all right, so for the first 2 weeks, you don't have to do anything. I might ask you to do a little odds and end shit, but you're just going to follow me and you're going to see how I operate. And then your job, like think of like, what is it? Sean McVay, he's got that guy that just helps him like not walk onto the field.
Exactly.
Like, I need you to make sure I respond to messages. I need to make sure you do this. I need to make that. And then it was always like, get my Starbucks order right. Because at that time, you're hitting Starbucks 2 and 3 times a day. And that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
With my dear wife, Courtney, her best thing is because she speaks fluent Jeremy, that I can provide her a concept or just I can give her a like, bleh, and then she can turn it into something.
Yeah.
So with that poor woman killing herself 100 hours a week, I'm like, hey, let's make content, which is cool. But like even right now, she's gone working.
Yeah.
And
not the content you guys are thinking, but guys, it's the hobby.
Oh, you can find that if you go to our link tree and go to our OnlyFans. It doesn't say OnlyFans. It shows a little red chili pepper.
Yeah, there you go. I thought you were gonna like when you said we're gonna make content. I literally thought your light bulb was about to go bing.
That shit would sell. There's a lot of weirdos in the hobby, man. Like
seeing Jeremy in a thong.
Hell no. You can see that shit for free. You're gonna go to the OnlyFans. You're gonna see Papa doing some work.
No, yeah. So I do give it up to Courtney because she would grab my phone and be like, "Man, this is how you do it." And just walk around. And I'm like, there's a lot of people that don't want to be recorded, and we're just and I know it's like public and we don't care, but I still like I think bad thoughts when I'm doing it.
I like the Instagram thing is for real. Like when we first started sharing our collection,
Yeah,
I would be like, oh, this card's only like worth,
yeah,
whatever. We can't share that because all I'm seeing is 70. Like if it's not a 52 mantle, like PSA 10, like we can't share it because our cards aren't good enough. And she was like, knock it off, you like
yeah,
expletive. Like
yeah.
just share stuff. Be cool. Like share what you like.
I know.
And if people don't like it, F them. And if people do like it, they'll. And so like she's incredible when it comes to that. So I
Yeah,
would be like, this is if Steven Spielberg didn't, this isn't Scorsese who edited our video. We can't
yeah.
put it out.
No, the best thing is this is true about Jeremy too. He does not like to be recorded, so I'm surprised he does a podcast with me. The second time I actually was trying to do content, I'm doing it, and you hear in the background, "Don't fucking put me on the camera," and I was like, "Oh, sorry, let me restart." He's like, "I don't put me on the camera."
If you're able to find pictures of me as a child,
Yeah,
and they're just so happen to get me in a picture, if you look, I'm flipping it off. Like I would try this, like this just dead stare,
yeah.
and then they'd be like, "Come on, Jeremy, do this," and it would be like I put my arm around somebody, and if you look at my hands, my arm is around them like that.
He hates
I
pictures.
absolutely hate it. The only time you will find a picture of me that it is a genuine smile where I'm willing taking the picture is if I've had a couple cocktails and I'm in Vegas.
Oh yeah, and then you're like in my face with your nutsack.
Like
Like,
you'll see those, or if I have to, like, and those are like the have tos are like for Courtney. There's not another person in the world that could get me to take a pic outside of Butters. If Butters could talk, what I do is I grab somebody's ass cheek as hard as I can and potentially slip my finger in the booty cheeks and grab them and make them so uncomfortable. Oh, look at that little gangster,
look at that guy.
little playa.
No, Jeremy is that type though. He does not like pictures. Um, so I'm happy that he does a pod. I'm very grateful. I mean, look at this cute kid.
Ah, look at that. Look at that. Like, look at that.
I knew there was a kid picture on here, so I was like, I gotta find it. I'm looking to see if you're actually
Yeah,
flipping
you know
off.
where I got that is I met my grandma for the first time a few years ago, and she had some pictures of me hanging in her hallway. Oh, see, look at that. I mean, I had just got done brushing my hair. I used to sit by the window and listen to a harp being played and brush my hair 1,000 strokes.
This is you,
Yeah, dude.
dude. You had. I'm not used to you with hair.
I'm telling you, I used to have long blonde hair.
That's
That's
black.
that's dark brown.
Oh,
You want to
okay.
know where I was? Look at the magazine.
Uh, oh, okay. Wait. Oh, you were in Vegas?
No,
No, New York
that's
City.
Scratch
New York City.
magazine. That was like hip hop music. I was in school for music business,
Yeah.
and I was in New York. And I was laying in this hotel room thinking that I was going to make it in the music industry, plotting how I was going to take over the world.
So this is a exclusive YouTube. This is what Jeremy does when on his off days trying to figure out what we're going to talk about on the podcast. Look at that. Look at that sexy man.
Oh, look at it. Look and see, that's me as a white kid in the suburbs. Look at the hat. Look at the hat.
Detroit.
Detroit, because I was influenced by rap music in Detroit.
That's awesome.
That's when I was in school for radio and TV.
I know you used to, people don't know, but Jeremy used to have his own other podcast. Maybe we'll bring the other co-host on one of our shows.
You know what? I listened to some of that stuff because that was very much anything going on in the real world.
Yeah.
Anything, and there was no filter.
Yep.
Because at that time I was just a blue collar labor construction union and labor in Chicago, and we would get on and we would, whatever, we had segments. It was well produced. It was because we were in school for radio and TV, so our shit was crisp. We had a mixing board, the whole shebang, and we'd record together in person. And then I got the gig when we moved to Michigan. And then I had like private equity firms like scrubbing my LinkedIn and going through everything. And I'm like, ugh.
I kind of feel bad. You went from him in a full on production to Manny in this $60 mic.
Yeah, and so shout out to my guy John, because he was he kept me in line, and so you're new John.
Yeah, but I don't keep you in line. So, and I've listened to the podcast. John loves the AVNs award, so we'll just say that he knows everything about them.
I didn't know who Adriana Chechik was, and I didn't know who Kendra Lust was till I met John.
Yeah,
and John, you would never know talking to him that he would know anything about adult films.
he knows it all. I'll tell you from the podcast.
And I have never met, when you're at this place and there's all these like naked girls and guys doing all sorts of just craziness. And this guy's walking up and he's like, "Hey, nice to meet you. The name's John, blah, 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 blah. So I noticed that you were born in Butterfield, Illinois in 1974. I think it's incredible when the gross domestic product is blah, blah." And I was like, what the
John's like, I like the angle on this scene.
Nobody was like he was the most respectful. And next thing you know, like Kendra Lust is here and we're taking pictures and I've got like hands grabbing boobs here and butts here and like I like to think that I was a little bit of a play, a little bit of a gangster, but I was like, what the hell's going on?
Yeah, what's going on?
Court, I need an adult. I need an adult. So make sure you like, subscribe, smash that. I don't know what the hell that last 52 minutes is. If you are angry, please message Manny. If you're happy, please message me. Make sure you leave reviews, and smash that subscribe button, motherfucker.
And with that, I hope you guys enjoyed your hobby release. We'll talk soon.
Manny doing more card shows. Fuck out of here.